Okay, recording is going. What's up, everybody? Thanks for hopping on. I want to congratulate you for getting on and joining us tonight. This is an impromptu training on a Thursday night, 6 o'clock here in Southern California. And all of you East Coasters, thanks for hopping on. I know it's getting a little bit late out there. So I wanted to get us on tonight. I wanted to really go through a training with you guys to really show you how to obtain any level of success that you want, certainly within this business, but truly within your lives. And I wanted to just talk about some things. So two things that I just asked before we started recording is one in the chat group here. Just go in and put it in the chat group, maybe one thing that you do, or maybe even daily, that you don't necessarily feel like doing, but you do it anyway. We're going to talk about why that is and how you can not actually feel like doing something, but still do it. And then the other thing is for those of you guys that are in our group 0 to 5 to put up a post and let's have some takeaways that are in there. So some great faces on here. I see Candace is on. What's up, girl? Oh my gosh, Candace is on. She's one of the OGs. You guys don't even know it. I see Nick and Kirsten, Texas in the house. What? All right. They already hit senior coach. You guys give them a round of applause. That's pretty spectacular. Let's get into this thing. Okay, so Josh, I'm going to be looking at you. You are who I can see right now. So Josh, can you see the screen? Give me a thumbs up if you could see this. Okay, cool. So you guys feel free to take screenshots of these different slides and things like that, but let's get into it. Tonight, we're really going to talk about, as we round up the month, I think we have tonight and 2 more days to really close out the month strong. I know a lot of you guys are extremely close to, these different paths, these different stepping stones along your path as you're building your business, whether that's senior coach. Lots of you guys are really close to executive director. I think I looked in my office in motion and we had about, I think it was like 24, 25 people close to executive director. We have another, I think 73 that are close to senior coach. There's another 8 that's very close to FIBC. We have 4 that are close to global director. So I know a lot of you guys are really working on closing out the month strong. But I know there's an even bigger group that you're trying to get your bearings, you're trying to get your energy. For some reason, we haven't been able to do kind of these simple steps that's needed. So we'll talk about that tonight. Oh man, I don't want to show you guys too much. Okay, so let's talk about how to become as successful as you want. And hashtag DIA means do it anyway. So we're going to do it anyway. So what is success? Let's just define that really fast. Well, according to Webster's, success is the accomplishment of an aim or purpose. So first thing that we need to know if we want to become extremely successful is, what do we want? So we have a funny clip, and a lot of you guys have seen this movie, The Notebook, but it's very hard to get to a destination if you don't know what you want. I have to go. And that's quite often is what we see. When we don't know what we want, we are going to necessarily leave. That's just how it is. Let me see here. I thought I muted everyone. So what are some goals that we may have? You guys do me a favor if you are not muted. Let me see if I can do it. Give me 1 second.
Hey, Jimmy.
Josh, are my slides going? Let me see here. Josh.
Yeah, you're on be a great parent, become an attorney, aim or purpose goals.
Perfect, man. All right, cool. Thank you, sir. Okay, so let's talk about what some of these goals are. So as we come into this business, as we come into Optavia, we know first and foremost, our goals is to pay our programs forward is to help so many people in this country become better people. It's to really see them live bigger and fuller lives and to experience a healthy life every single day. We know this. We're very, very good at this. And this a lot of times is why we've become coaches. Now, in our lives and in our business, we have goals that are very important to us. Some of our goals are to become a great parent. That might be, some of y'all might have a goal to go to law school and become attorneys, to reach senior coach, or maybe even executive director, to have time freedom. I would say probably 30–40% of the people that's on this call right now are really seeking for time freedom. To be a stay-at-home parent. Lots of you guys have a goal to become what we call FIBC, or fully integrated business coach. Maybe it's to start earning $10,000 per month. It can be any sort of thing, but these goals are special because these goals are your goals. So first and foremost, we have to know, what do we want, and what are those goals? What is that aim? What is that purpose that really fulfills us? So next, you need to know, why do you want it? And fundamentally, do you know why you want those things that you say that you want? Because if we don't know this, I'm just going to be frank. This is going to be a little bit Jamil keeping it real. It's never going to happen. If we don't know why these things are important to us, we might as well just pack up our bags and walk away, because it's not going to happen. If you're working with a client right now that tells you they want to lose 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds, if they say they want to get off of their medications, if they say they want to be around longer to play with their grandkids, if they say that they want to really be there to inspire their husbands or their wives or their spouses so they can live healthier lives, and you ask them, well, why is that important to you? And they don't know, I guarantee you they will never, ever lose that 30 or 40 pounds. I don't like saying that there's an impossibility in a lot of things, but this I feel very, very strongly on, that it's going to be impossible for them to reach that destination if they have no clue why they even want to go there. There's no difference within our businesses. So if I go back to the previous slide and I say, great, you want to earn $10,000 a month from your health coaching business. Why? If you don't know what those reasons are, and if those reasons are not strong, it is not going to happen. If I say, great, you want to be a stay-at-home parent. Well, why is that important to you? If you don't know what those reasons are, and you don't know why that's important to you, it's not going to happen. If I say, great, you want to become an attorney, you want to go through law school and do all these things, well, why is that important to you? And if there's no deep down connection as to why that's important to you, it is not going to happen. I'm sorry. So we have to know our whys. The minute and the moment we set these goals and you get in touch with that why, you are going to experience little tiny obstacles. And what's crazy is these obstacles have always been there, but they've never looked like obstacles before because you never actually focus on what you wanted to create. So what are these little tiny obstacles going to look like in your health coaching business? Well, we're going to be jumping over some hurdles. We're going to be looking at a puzzle, trying to figure out, how the heck do I do this? It's going to seem like there's this big leaps and these gaps of things that we need to do. And lastly, it might look like there's this huge boulder just sitting in the middle of the road. And now we're trying to figure out, maybe I should just pack up my bags and go home. Maybe it's just not for me. So what are some of these obstacles? What do they look like? Well, my clients aren't staying on program. Just blink at me a couple times if you ever thought that. All right? Everybody just close your eyes. Everyone's saying it's too expensive. Am I the only one that's heard this? Yeah, I see, Shelly, you're blinking a lot right now. People are pushing their orders back because it's getting close to the holidays. You guys ever heard this one? We're getting close to October, November, and December. This is going to be one of the biggest ones that coaches are going to want to use. And what I can tell you from experience is that my biggest client acquisition months have been October, November, December. In November, I once brought on 26 clients, and in December, I brought on 36 clients. So the holidays is not the answer. I don't have enough time. This is one that I especially see with our parents in the group. I don't have enough time. My health coaches on my team aren't doing anything. And nobody blink on this because some of your coaches might be on here. I called 2 people and no one's signing up. My cousin's mother's friend said soy was bad and our program's going to kill everybody. Anyone have that one? People will make fun of me if I live my life out loud on Facebook or too often. Anyone have these little tiny obstacles come up? So what do those obstacles do, you guys? Has any of you guys ever had our scientific term of what we call the monkey mind? Just blink, just whistle. So when we start to have these obstacles and we start to have these thoughts, what we start to do is now we start to have this thing called the monkey mind. Now we start to really playing below the line. Now we start to have thoughts that just simply do not serve us and will never, ever, ever help us get to where we want to get to. And so these thoughts we call red light thoughts. So I would definitely take a screenshot or a picture of this slide. So red light thoughts are thoughts that are always going to keep you stagnant. Red light thoughts, unfortunately, are the thoughts that most of us have right now. Red light thoughts generally come when we are not being conscious. All throughout the day, hundreds and thousands of thoughts that we have throughout the day are subconscious thoughts. We don't even think about them. We never question them. And quite frankly, we believe them to be true. When we're walking down the street and someone looks up and we look at them and it looks like they have, what do we call it? The stank face. It looks like they're mad or they're disturbed. And right away we formulate a thought or an opinion about that person that has a kind of a threatening look on their face. And right away we'll say that we'll form an opinion that there's something wrong with this person, or they must not like me, or maybe they're even going to attack me. This subconsciously, this happens within a nanosecond. You never even think about it. This is just what happens. So in this business, because of that thing called the monkey mind, now we're going to start to create thoughts. These thoughts are, I suck, I'm a failure, I must not be doing it right, this must not be for me, my husband was right when he said it, this is never going to be successful. My wife was right when she said nobody's ever going to sign up on your program. This is certainly a waste of time. I'm never going to help anyone. Does anyone ever have any red light thoughts? Or is it just me? And this is what happens. So what's so interesting about our thoughts, you guys, is your thoughts dictate what your emotions are going to be. So when we're constantly living in red light thoughts, when we're constantly living in thoughts that don't serve us, we constantly are in an emotional state that do not serve us. And these emotions typically show up in the form of fear. Have you guys ever been nervous about reaching out to someone? Do you guys have people on what we call your scared list? You know you want to share a program with them, but for some reason you haven't reached out to them. So the emotions generally will show up as fear, as sadness. You're mad, you're frustrated. Let's be honest, you're pissed. You're a little bit depressed. There's some regret, there's some guilt, there's some anxiety, shame, embarrassment. These are the emotions that spring up simply from this thought process, simply from this monkey mind, simply from these subconscious thoughts that generally control how we do things all day long. And what's so interesting about your emotions is your emotions will always dictate your actions. So some of you guys right now have pulled back from your actions, thinking that it's simply cause and effect, and not really understanding that you can completely control this any single time that you want to, based off of how you control your thoughts. No one else can control your thoughts but you. So what's the action? So we know that if our emotions are off, we're not going to have any action. We're not going to do the things that we know we should do. I mean, just think about your clients, right? So your clients, they get to a point and maybe they stand on the scale and the scale says they've lost 1 pound. And from that, they start to have this monkey mind. And their monkey mind starts to bring up thoughts. There you go again. You suck. You must have did something wrong. You only lost 1 pound. Everyone else on the Facebook group is losing 10 pounds a week. This is just another example of you never getting close to reaching your goals. And from those thoughts, they're going to have actions. Their actions now are going to pull back. They're going to stop drinking as much water. They're going to think, well, I already screwed up. I might as well just go eat 10 bonbons. Isn't this what happens? The same thing happens with health coaches. And it all starts from the way that we choose to think. So there's a saying, an empty vessel makes the loudest noise. So you'll see coaches, the ones that are necessarily complaining the most, are the ones whose thoughts have been red light thinking, which means they haven't been in action, which means they're going to have a tremendous amount of complaints because they're not going to experience the success that they're seeking simply starting with their thoughts. The procrastinators meeting has been postponed, right? A play on words. What do? Because we have a lack of action, guess what we'll start to do? We'll start to procrastinate about it. Well, I know this person wants to know more about program, but maybe I'll just give them a call tomorrow. Well, I know that this person said that they were struggling financially, but maybe I'll talk to them about becoming a coach in a couple days. And you know as well as I do, the couple days never come. And literally, lights, camera, no action at all. And it all begins from the way that we fundamentally choose to think. So here's the deal. There's something called cognitive dissonance. And your brain is so strong that it doesn't like for you to feel bad. So internally, your brain knows that what you're saying to yourself is, I'm a good person. I make great decisions. The big challenge is that if your thoughts are off and your actions are off, then you're not going to produce the results that you want. And because you're not producing the results that you want, you're going to feel bad. And because your brain doesn't want you to feel bad because because you're a good person and you make good decisions, now there's going to be some dissonance. And that dissonance is going to show up in the form of your outcomes. So what's going to happen now? Because your brain's not going to allow you to sit there and feel bad too long. So what you're going to start to do is you're going to start to justify. Well, I didn't really want it anyway. Do you realize and recognize how often your clients do this? When they start to fall off track, when they start to have deviations, when they go on that trip, that 2-week trip to Europe, and then they come back and they fell completely off track, and they come back and they try to get back on track and it doesn't work. And then they start to have these thoughts. Well, those thoughts turn into shame. Those thoughts turn into fear. Those thoughts turn into blame. And because of that, their actions, they continue to eat more things that they're not supposed to. And once that happens, it creates cognitive dissonance. And then they'll start to say things like, well, I didn't really want to lose that 30 pounds anyway. Well, coming off of these high blood pressure medications wasn't really important to me. Well, I didn't really want to run around with my grandkids and have more vitality and energy. Same thing happens to health coaches in their business. Eventually, if we stop doing the things that we know to do based off of the thoughts that we have control over, then we'll start to justify. Next, we'll start to blame. If I would have just had a better mentor coach, or your clients will say, if I would have just had a better health coach, if I could have just had more support, or will deny. There was no way I'd be successful in that program anyhow. right? I mean, they wanted me to like eat 6 times a day every 2 to 3 hours. Nobody can do that. Or the health coach will say, well, no one's ever successful in that business anyway. This is all due to cognitive dissonance, all from the way that we choose to think. So next, they're going to slow down. They will give up. They will quit. And their aim, their purpose, that initial goal will never be met. And here's the caveat, and this is what I want everyone that's on right now or watching this recording to understand, is they will consistently look for an easier how, even though the how that they have is completely perfect. So your clients will continuously, year after year, look for easier programs, never understanding that because of their stinking thinking and their monkey mind and their red light view of the world that they have complete 100% control over, that they can so easily reach these goals, but they won't do it because they'll continue to look for an easier how, and there is no easier how. It all comes down to their why. So health coaches will do the same thing. Health coach will say, I have the desire to stay at home with my child. I don't want anyone else to watch my child. We'll say, how much do we have to start bringing in per month? They'll say $5,000 per month. Great. Now we'll ask them to do some very easy action steps, and then their thoughts will get in the way. They'll lose sight of what they actually want. They'll start to have stinking thinking. They'll start to have no action. They'll start to have cognitive dissonance. And then they're going to look for an easier company that's going to help them stay at home with their child when they could have just created it right here if they would have learned how to control their thoughts. So we're going to have a new way of thinking. And this way of thinking is called green light thinking. And in green light thinking will always help us reach our desired outcome. Always. We're going to start to have a different view of the world and these different events that are given to us. So first thing is we're going to have to become an extremely conscious being, which is going to turn into a conscious leader. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by a conscious being? Most of the thoughts that you have right now are thoughts you don't even know that you're having and you never question. Most of the things that you do throughout the day are subconscious. Right now you're breathing. Did you ever take a second to even realize that you're breathing? Did you have to tell yourself to breathe right now? Do you have to tell yourself to pump the blood from your blood vessels in your veins? It just happens, doesn't it? Even you listening to my words right now, there's subconscious thoughts that are attached to them that you're not even thinking, you're not even aware that you're thinking until I point it out. So becoming a conscious being means you are going to start to be in control of your thoughts. And you're going to start to question all of your thoughts. And you're going to start to ask yourself, first and fundamentally, what do I want? What do I want to create? What do I want to do? Who do I want to be? What do I want to give? What do I want on a deep down fundamental level? And we have to be attached to this if we want to become a conscious being. It's so important. Now, we're also going to ask ourselves, when we have these crazy red light thoughts come up, we're going to ask ourselves, is this thought serving me? So we're going to recognize that this thought has even happened. Then we're going to just ask ourselves, is this thought serving me? Well, my husband didn't take out the trash last night. I guess that means he doesn't love me. That's what your subconscious thoughts are going to go back to. In order for you to be a conscious being and a conscious leader, you're going to have to know, first and foremost, what do you want? And maybe that one is, I want a successful marriage. Great. Now we need to realize that you just had that non-serving thought. Now we have to start questioning that thought and then ask yourself, is that thought serving me? I just had a thought that my husband didn't take out the trash. That must mean he's lazy and he doesn't love me. Now I need to stop, question that thought, then ask myself, wait a minute, Jamil, is that thought even serving me? Is that thought even true? Is this thought helping me get to my desired outcome, which is to have a loving, functional marriage? And if it isn't, we have to change that thought right now. This is how you start to become a conscious being. This is going to take a lot of work. So we're going to have the same obstacles this time with green light thinking. So my clients aren't staying on program. Green light thinking will say, well, it's just not their time. And when they're truly ready, they'll return. I'm amazing, and so are they. So that thought is going to give me some emotions. And that emotions is clarity. I feel good. And for me feeling good, it's going to dictate my actions. I'm going to continue to reach out to people. This whole business is about connecting with people. It's not hard to do it all. Every day we just spend some time connecting with people. That's what our action steps are. So the obstacle, everyone's saying it's too expensive. The person with the green light thinking will say, well, they're not saying it's too expensive. They're simply saying they are not ready right now. And I'll add them to my follow-up systems and have them connect me with their friends. People are pushing their orders back because of the holidays. The conscious leader would say, first of all, is that even true? Or am I just creating that to be true? Did I just make that up? Because what has really happened is, out of my 10 clients, 2 move their orders back, and I know they'll be back when they're ready, and I'm that much more encouraged to go find more people to help. This is what the conscious leader would do. They would not have red light thinking and start operating below the line. Everything is above the line. I don't have enough time. Well, first of all, is that even true? Or am I just creating that based off of my emotional state? But the reality is I do have enough time. I just need to work with my coach to block out that time and stay consistent. Health coaches on my team are not doing anything. Is that true? Is that reality? And is that thought serving me? Is that thought helping me get closer to my desired outcome? Is it keeping me the same, or is it pushing me further away? Is me thinking this way helping me create that desired outcome or in those goals that I want? So the conscious leader would say, well, that's not true. They're trying their hardest and they're doing their best that they can based off of their current skill set. Let me go find more to help. I've reached out to everyone on my list and no one's signing up. That is what the unconscious leader would say. But the conscious coach, the conscious human being, the conscious person, the conscious leader would certainly look at this as green light thinking. And they would say, what a great opportunity for me to add more friends on Facebook and join some meetup groups and have more community gatherings. On one hand, a person could say, my friend said soy was bad and it would kill everyone. And they have extremely stinking thinking from that. But the green light thinker would say she was probably just having a bad day. Do you guys see the difference? And now my emotions are, I'm still happy, I'm encouraged, I have empathy, I have a certain level of trust, I'm excited, I have desire, I'm enthusiastic, I have interest, there's hope, there's joy, there's pride. And those emotions are going to dictate my actions. And my actions are very easy in this business. I'm going to start setting up my initial calls. I'm going to get on trainings. I'm going to support my clients, start 3-way conversations per day, add 3 new Facebook friends per day, post 3 times per day on Facebook, making sure one of those posts are before and after, ask my clients and friends for referrals, make my list, celebrate my clients with my coach, follow up on my Fridays. I'm going to exercise. I plus Q equals A with 3 people per day, which is the easiest formula for bringing on more health coaches to your team that we could teach someone, because all it requires is identifying. Then we're going to qualify these folks, and then we're going to approach. I'm going to complete my map. And as I do these action steps, I'm going to keep chipping away. As I continuously have green light thinking, I'm going to keep chipping away. As I continue to believe that the world is literally opened up for me and I can do anything that I want, I'm going to keep chipping away as I continue to learn to be a conscious leader, a conscious being, a conscious coach, a conscious wife and mother and husband. I'm going to keep chipping away. And eventually I'm going to get to my desired state. But if I stay in red light thinking, if I have stinking thinking, if I don't even question my thoughts, I guarantee we will never ever get to where we want to get to. And we will stay in the same place looking for an easier house where, quite frankly, there are no easier house. It just comes down to what do you want and why do you want it? So over time, one person's consistently looking for easier house, not understanding that their own thoughts that they are suffering from, while the other has tremendous success and learns how to be the master and surgeon of their thoughts, and all the while realizing that they could accomplish anything they choose if they learn how to think. There has to be a renewing of your mind. Every spiritual text will tell you this. And over time, this is what happens. They literally start out at the same place. And over time, one person will move into having this thriving business while the other one business will literally look sick. Let me put it in another context that all of you guys will understand. And this relates to your clients. You have two clients, both want to lose 50 pounds, both want to come off of their diabetic medications, both want to have vitality and run around with their grandchildren. They both start on this path to reach their goals. One person has green light thinking, one person has red light thinking. Both of them get their box in their program. One opens up their box of strawberry shakes, and both of them have 2 packages of strawberry shakes that are missing from the box. One says, oh my gosh, here's another example of how these programs don't work for me. And the other one says, what an opportunity for me to possibly get more fuelings because there's 2 packages that are missing. Throughout their whole program, one has stinking thinking and red light thinking, which is creating tremendous amount of emotional discomfort and pain, while the other one has great vitality and continues to move towards their desired outcomes. After a year, one is living and thriving and has optimal health. And after the year, the other one's even more unhealthy and more sick and looking for an easier how. This is what I've seen happen to health coaches over my 5.5 years of coaching. I've literally started coaching at the same time or even after a tremendous amount of coachings. And the only thing that's been different is I learned how to control my thoughts, which have controlled my actions. My actions have stayed really high and consistent over 5 years. My business has moved up to the thriving level while lots of people have decided to leave or quit or stayed in the same place. It all comes back down to how we choose to think, and no one has control over our thoughts but us. No one. So it's going to require practice. So let's move into emotional coaching versus structural coaching. Because what I see happening, why folks are not reaching their goals in terms of their businesses and helping as many people as they want, is they fundamentally do things based off of how they feel, not out of structure. This is why I had you guys put in the chat group, what are things that you do every single day, even though you don't feel like it? Because your goals, you guys, please write this down. Your goals, if you're desiring right now, if you're working 10, 12, 14 hours a day, you never see your kids, you're not earning the income that you want to, you have no time freedom, right? You're constantly stressed out. If your goals is to have those things change, if your goals is to supplement that income so maybe a spouse can come home, if those are your goals, guess what those goals don't care about? They couldn't care less about how you feel. They just don't. What if you're a client and you want to lose 20 pounds, but you don't feel like eating every 2 to 3 hours? what's going to happen? Nothing. So we have to become structural coaches, not emotional coaches. The things that you want to create literally do not care at all if you're tired when you come home from work and you have to, prepare dinner for the kids, and the kids finally get down and you have 2 hours left in the night to unwind. Guess who doesn't care if you're tired? Your goals. They don't even know that you're tired. They certainly do not care. So let's talk about this motivation for change. So what typically happens, and it certainly happens with your clients, it certainly happens with coaches, is there's this intense emotional conflict. So they are maybe carrying around 80 pounds and they are having a struggle tying their shoes, and they just got off an airplane where maybe some people, didn't respond very well to them because they had to ask for that seatbelt extension. And finally, they just reached their boiling point, and gosh darn it, it doesn't matter. They're ready to change. No longer is price an issue. No longer is their husband or wife not supporting them an issue. No longer is any of those other excuses an issue, because there's enough intense emotional conflict. Let me talk to you in the ways of the coaches. Maybe some of you guys are just really fed up about how you're being treated at work. Maybe some of you guys are fed up about never having disposable income. Maybe some of you guys are fed up about never being able to give to your charities that you want to. Maybe some of you guys are fed up because you've been working 10, 12, 14-hour days for the last decade and you don't want to do it anymore. Maybe some of you guys are fed up because you never actually see your family. Maybe some of you guys have intense emotional conflict, which has caused you to start coaching. From that, you get into action. The action steps are very easy. As you start to have more action, you start to have success. That success brings less emotional conflict. Now I have some disposable income. Now I'm able to maybe do some things with the family. Now I have a little bit more time. And because we're starting to have success, we have less emotional conflict. And what that less emotional conflict does is brings less action. Why do you think it's hard for your clients to stay on track as they start to get within 20 pounds, 15 pounds, 10 pounds of their goal? There's less emotional conflict. And because there's less emotional conflict, they're going to start to have more deviations, which is called less action. Same thing with coaches. So this is someone who's not emotionally intelligent. Write that word down. They do not have a lot of emotional intelligence. They do things based off of emotion, not based off of structure. We're going to get really good at only doing things in our life based off of structure. So once you experience the relief of emotional conflict, your motivation to change weakens and you have less need to act. The yo-yo health coaching business, this is what happens. So how do we stay motivated? Well, you're going to start to motivate yourself only by focusing on what you want, not on what you don't want. You will start to know your why and only play in creating, not limitation. We're only going to create things from here going forward. It's not willpower, it's structure. And we're constantly going to set daily, weekly, and monthly goals using SMART. Well, what's SMART? SMART is just an effective way of setting goals. So SMART goal is you're going to be specific as to what you want. It's going to be measurable. It's going to be something that you can achieve. It's going to be realistic, and it's going to have a time step on it. When are you going to achieve this goal? So some of my goals initially were, I wanted to be happy and stress-free. I wanted to wake up daily with a smile on my face, knowing that I did good. I desire to have a strong marriage for my wife and my son. Daily, I wanted to limit the arguments and let her know that I loved her by doing certain things throughout the day. Sending a text message at noon was one of the things that I used to do. Desire to create an atmosphere where I'm the primary male teaching my son Ezra philosophies of life. I wanted to create a life that I never had to worry about money or income again. I want to create a fight-free zone. I wanted to become global director because it looked like they were helping a ton of people live better lives. And the income disclosure statement said that they earned on average about $18,000 per month. And my way of thinking, if I could start earning about $18,000 a month, then I really could stop those fights that were really devastating in my household. It wouldn't matter how much my wife earned at that time because we had enough. And if it didn't matter how much she earned, then we didn't have to have the fights. So what I said is I'm going to be global director in the next 6 months. So it's time oriented. So is that specific? Yep. Is it achievable? I believed it was. Was it realistic? Clearly it was because I did it. And was it time oriented? Yes, it was. So structural tension, here's the definition. The difference between our desired state and our actual state. So where you are right now, as opposed to where do you want to go? This is called your current reality, where you are right now. And it creates a useful tension and necessary tension. So here are the rules. You have to know where you're at. You have to know how you feel. You have to know your current reality. Are you fed up? Is there more that you want? Are you at a point right now where it's hard to pay some bills? Are you at a point right now where you literally are finding it difficult to do things that you should be able to do? You have to be honest with yourself. You cannot lie if you're working within tension, structural tension. You have to be clear about your goals and do not lie to yourself about what you actually want. Be crystal clear about what you want to create. Do not change your goal from what you want to what you think is possible. Well, what do I mean by that is I wouldn't change my goal of becoming a global director just because things were not working out as well or as fast as I thought. What I would do is change the plan. I would change the tactics. I would change the strategy, but I'm never going to change that goal. So if your goal is maybe to go out and support your first 5 clients, that's a great goal. Maybe we have to change some strategies and some tactics, but I'm not going to change the goal. So every day we have choices, which means it's up to us. Again, we are in control. So there's 3 types of choices. First choice is what we call your fundamental choice. This is something that you're willing to fight for. You're ready to go to bat for this thing every single day. This defines your state of being. The next choice you have is what we call our primary choice. So your primary choice is something you want more than other things you might also want. So your clients might want to be healthy. What that means to them is they have more energy, they're not out of breath, and they can actually put on their jeans without having to, sit on the bed. Maybe that's one thing that they want. Now they're going to go to a barbecue and they got that Texas style barbecue. Oh man, now we got some choices to make because there's 2 things that I want. I want my health on one hand. I want that big slab of ribs on the other hand. Coaches have the same sort of primary choices. So maybe their fundamental choice is simply they want to be happy. They want to live stress-free lives. They want to give. They want to serve. They want to help other people create the lives that they want. Primary choice might be, on one hand, they want to do those things. On the other hand, maybe they come home from work and they're really tired. And maybe they got to deal with some screaming kids. And maybe they want to go to sleep. So now there's 2 primary choices. On the one hand, I want to create this life of happiness and stress-free. On the other hand, I'm really tired and I really want to go to sleep. So what do? So your secondary choices are the actions you take to support the primary choices, even if you don't really want to. Again, your goals don't care how you feel. This is why I had you put in a chat group, what are things that you do every single day, even though you don't want to? And quite frankly, you do those things because you're in tune as to what you want in those instances. We're going to do the same thing for your business. So obtaining any goal or desire you want has nothing to do with emotions or willpower, but has all to do with structure. So let's take a look at what this might look like. So examples of choices. So my fundamental choice was happiness and a stress-free life. I literally been fighting with my wife for probably 2.5, 3 years consistently at that time. We couldn't find a middle point. It was torture. I hated it. I hated walking around in the house where there's this huge elephant in a room and no one talked about it and things like that. So my fundamental choice, the thing that I was willing to fight for every single day, was my happiness and a stress-free life. Now, my primary choices were to keep my son in my house. It was very important for me to save my marriage, to have financial freedom. Now, secondary choices are the things that I'm going to do every single day to help me reach my primary choice and my fundamental choice. So what was I going to do every single day? Well, I was going to walk the beach. I was going to study 1 hour of Jim Rohn daily and apply his teachings to my life. I was going to find 10 people per day to share my story with off of my contact list. I was going to establish very strong client support days. I was going to add 10 new friends on Facebook daily. I was going to check in with my mentor daily to let her know what I was doing and ask for feedback. And I was going to use I plus Q equals A with 5 people a day to help me reach my goal of sponsoring 5 health coaches per month. And I was going to sponsor 5 coaches per month and help my coaches become successful. So if you look at this, my primary choice was something I was willing to fight for every single day. Maybe for your clients, maybe their their fundamental choice maybe is to be happy, to be stress-free, to actually live a life of health and vitality. Dr. A would say that someone's fundamental choice would be, gosh, I forget what he says. But anyway, their primary choices are things that are still really important to them. Maybe just not as important as their fundamental choice, but they're very important to them. And now your secondary choices are just your daily actions. What are you going to do every single day? For us, that's really easy. It just basically comes down connecting with people. That's it. So you can see here on the right-hand side, my current reality before was I was fighting every day and in my house. I certainly didn't have the income that I wanted. I wasn't fulfilling my purpose. I wasn't as happy as I wanted to be. Now in the middle, I just did a whole bunch of secondary choices that if I did that every single day, no matter what, didn't matter how I felt, eventually I would get to my vision, my desired goals. Same thing for you guys if we move out of emotional coaching and just move into structural coaching. So here's the question. Do you think all the people reaching their goals in this business and in life felt like making those secondary choices every single day? In fact, many secondary choices are not things we would normally choose to do. If it were not for the primary choice, we literally wouldn't do them at all. Just think about that. We got a lot of moms on the line right now. Maybe your fundamental choice for your kids is for them to be very successful in life. Maybe the primary choice is for them to have a great education, for them to be healthy, those sorts of things. And now your secondary choices every day is maybe to sit down and do homework with them, get them off to school on time, those sorts of things. What if you were sick one day and you didn't feel like waking up and cooking breakfast and getting them off to school and doing their homework with them and stuff? What if you didn't feel like it? I guarantee you that you would still do it. So success has nothing to do with emotions at all. It doesn't care how you feel. You do things structurally. So some people love planning events, spending money to go to events, picking up the phone, asking for referrals, working with clients and coaches who can sometimes be very interested in their thinking or love to exercise. We would say, how lucky for you guys if we didn't like to do those things. But many more literally can't stand doing those things, and they do them anyway. DIA. Why? To support their higher, more important goals of creating their dreams and what they actually want. Comes down to what do you want? So how do I make the right choice? I start by having an internal dialogue in your head with yourself when presented with 2 choices and you want both. So an internal conversation would sound like watching 8 hours of Netflix sounds really fun right now. And the other side of your brain would say, yes, it does. I could do that if I want. That's right. You absolutely could. I deserve it. And this is something you'll hear a lot with your clients. If they've been on program for maybe 3 or 4 weeks and they've done great, and now they go out to a party, their brain is going to say, well, you deserve it. This is just the natural evolution of human beings' brains. So your brain's going to say, I deserve it because I don't feel well today. That might be true as well. But I also want to keep Ezra in my house. That was really important to me. Well, that's true too. If I watch all that TV, it would be harder to reach my goal as fast as I wanted to. True. So what do I want more right now? 8 hours of mindless TV or to keep my son in my house? Well, you want to keep your son. So what do you think you want to do? While I could watch TV, I choose not to as to support my more important goal of keeping Ezra. That's right. So I'll instead reach out to my 10 people, check in with my clients, and do I plus Q equals A with 5 new people. So the external conversation literally sounds like this. Would you like to watch TV? No, thanks. That's it. So when you come home and you're tired, or maybe you just got into this huge fight or argument, or maybe a client just pushed their order back, or maybe any number of events happen to where you didn't feel like doing something emotionally, it doesn't matter. Because all you need to think about is what do you want? And what do you want more? And if you're tired at the end of the day and you just want to veg out, you have that option. You could do that. But the question is that going to help you get to what you fundamentally want? And if the answer is no, then I would suggest start to have these conversations with yourself. Because if not, guess what we will be doing for the next 2, 3, 4 years? Sitting in that same exact space, hoping that things change, and they're never going to. So this is operating off of high emotional intelligence where you are 100% in control. Now let's look at this again over time. So over time, a person who operates out of structural tension and they literally do these easy secondary choices every single day, over time, a month, 2 months, 3 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, guess what will happen with that emotionally intelligent person? They're going to be thriving. They're going to have so much success that people are going to start to say things like, oh, you got lucky. Never seeing their day-to-day activity. While the other one continue to operate out of emotions and never learn how to change their mindset. And what happens with them? At the beginning, there's no significant difference. They're about the same. Over a month, 2 months, 3 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, significant difference. Because they think doing things out of emotions is important when we've learned how to do things only out of structure. Does this make sense? So this is how you can look at me 5.5 years in, where other coaches have started maybe 5, 10, 15 years ago. I'm showing you what the difference is over time. Initially, no big deal. Same thing if you guys wanted to start a future savings account. Just think about it. Say you wanted to start putting money away for your future retirement. And every single day, even if you didn't feel like it, you just put in $1. Even if you didn't feel like it. But you did it anyway because your fundamental choice was when you turned 65 or 70, you actually wanted to be able to have money coming in, right? So the difference between you and someone else who didn't do that at the beginning is very small. A month in, no big difference. 2 months in, no big deal. A year in, oh, we start to see some differences. 2 years in, oh, that gap is widening. 5 years in, 10 years in,
it's 7 o'clock.
10 years in, you literally have enough to retire on while the other person is still hoping that things change because their emotional state hasn't changed. This is all it takes, you guys. It only requires operating off of structure. So one of the best structural tension charts we have is something called our map, which I would suggest everyone is, after you reach senior coach, get really comfortable with. This is how we can use this structural tension chart. You see at the bottom, it has your current reality. Up at the top, it has your goals and your visions. In the middle, it has your secondary choices. What do I do every single day, even if I don't feel like it? If you do those things every single day, you have no other options but to reach your goals. Now, I don't know when you're going to reach them. I just know if you do it every single day, you are going to reach them. So a structural tension chart might look something like this. This is a real structural tension chart that we did with Tony Veroni, who's very close to having a global director business. Down at the bottom, you see where her current reality was. She was going to have to go back to work really soon. She was feeling depressed about it. She had no extra income to live life the way that she desired. She had just had her first child. She was a nurse, and she didn't want to go back to nursing. So at the top, we discovered what her goals and her visions were. She wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. We need to replace about $3,500 per month. She wanted to send her daughter to preschool. We figured that was going to be about $1,000 a month. She wanted baby number 2 within 2 years, which she's pregnant with now. We did the structural tension chart years ago. We need to start saving about $1,000 a month. She had no vacation since her honeymoon 7 years ago and wants to spend 2 weeks in Italy. I guarantee you if she wanted to do that now, she could. We just did this 2 years ago. She wanted to have a Disneyland pass for a kid. She wanted private school. So what are her secondary choices, which we call her action steps? Well, we're going to have to help her get to 5 clients, senior coach, within her first 30 days. She needed to build out her contact worksheet of 100 names. We need to set up and complete all of her three-way calls within 7 days. We need to do her Facebook launch. I taught her how to do the 3x3x3x3x3, and she needs to do that daily. She needs to connect with her support team daily. She needs to attend all boot camps. Some boot camps, nope, all boot camps. She needed to attend a leadership call on Monday night. She needs to schedule a healthy happy hour. She did these things every single day. She has no other choice than to start obtaining and getting to those things that she actually desired. Now, if she only did this out of emotions when she felt like it, it is not going to happen. It's just not. So we have to get really good at learning how to change her thoughts and get really good at working out of structure, not out of emotion. So here's some action steps for us. Wow, right on time.
7 o'clock.
Okay. So we're going to do the 3x5 daily. And if you guys don't know what that is, then please text your business coach right now and say, what is a 3x5? And can you teach me how to start doing it? Please send that text to him now. We're going to start doing one Facebook Live. What I'm giving you guys right now are actually secondary choices. So these things are going to help you reach your desired goals. I'm not guessing that they will. I know for a fact that they will if we actually do them. And if we do them, we're doing them because of our fundamental choice and our primary choices, not because we actually feel like doing them. So we're going to do one Facebook Live per day, giving value to your Facebook audience, telling parts of your story, what you're so excited about, literally living out loud. We're going to do I plus Q equals A. If you don't know what this is, then please contact your business coach and ask them, what is that? And how can I start to learn that? We have 2 more days until the end of the month. So I love that Candace just texted me, what is a 3x5? You're so awesome. We're going to add 2 clients by the end of the month, you guys. This is very, very easy to do. Build a structural tension chart for yourself and then share it with your support team. Watch my Facebook Live video that I'm going to do in about 15 minutes, talking about the top 10 things that we can do to finish out the month very strong. That will be in our 0 to 5 client site. So some of you guys don't have access to that group, but that's okay. It's the same thing that Dan Valentine has done. And you can get that video from many different places. And lastly, DIA. So hopefully we have a better understanding of what do it anyway means. This simply means that we're going to coach and we're going to do the things in our lives based off of structure. We're going to even attack our program as clients off of structure. Not how do you feel? Do I feel like drinking 100 ounces of water a day? It doesn't matter. What do you want? What is your fundamental goal? What's your primary goal? And drinking 100 ounces a day is just secondary choices. It's going to help you obtain that. It doesn't matter if you feel like doing it or not. So we're going to get really, really good at doing things structurally. Very good. So let's maybe have 10 minutes of questions. If anyone has any questions. I took you guys through a lot. That's a lot of stuff. I mean, people literally will go to therapists and pay hundreds and hundreds and thousands of dollars to learn what you guys just learned in an hour. I mean, that's literally how we reach every single goal that we want. I mean, speaking from a marriage standpoint to you wanting to become better parents, certainly on building a health coaching business, what we just went over in an hour, you know, watch this playback over and over and over again because you'll hear it differently as you grow. But that's literally how you become extremely successful in anything that you want. Learning how to change the way that you think is so important. Everything starts and stops from your thoughts and how you choose. It is a choice. How you choose you want to see things. Either as limiting, either as red light, or either as green light. Either as something that's going to help you create the things that you want. The other thing is your emotions don't matter at all. Pretty please with a cherry on top. Stop saying things like, well, I didn't really feel like it, or I was just tired that day. Okay. We'll see how far that gets us. It's not going to get us very far. Okay, so no one has questions? Let me see here. Okay, I made it so you can unmute yourself if you have a question. No? Wow, that was some heavy stuff we just got into. No questions? Okay. Well, I'll post a playback. Hopefully this is helpful. I will. Someone coming off the mute?
Jamel, we brought out the structural tension charts at National Optimal Health Day, and Katrina did a live on her structural tension chart. She just did right off, and it was really good. So I will see if I can share it in 0 to 5. It's pretty awesome.
Oh, that's cool. She just did it as like a Facebook Live for everybody to see?
Which, Jennifer Garcia actually videoed it and then shared it on my event page that we did the National Optimal Health Day. But I happened to bring a big stack and I handed them all out. We did those yesterday. So.
That's really good. If anyone wants to get really good at building structural tension charts, believe it or not, it's it's chapter 3, chapter 4 in Dr. A's Habits of Health book, and it's workbook lesson 7, I think, in your living a longer, healthier life. So that's another way that you can practice. So good. So thank you guys for being on. I hope it was helpful, but that really is the answer. If we can learn to change the way that you guys perceive things and think about things, then it is going to help everything. It's going to help your relationships. It's going to help the way that you parent. No longer little tiny things going to bother you, because you're going to learn how to question everything and then start to change it in an instant. So hopefully this was helpful, you guys. I will be on live in about 10 minutes. I'll see you then. Have a great night, everyone.